Hi there, everybody. Josh Rugger here in the Weather Lab. Dan Scoff may be joining in just a few moments as well, giving you the first of what will be many updates to the severe weather potential that will be occurring later on this afternoon and into the overnight hours, especially across northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Um, Again, yesterday there was a lot of uncertainty in place in terms of the timing of the system, as well as what exactly those risks would be. Now there's more confidence that's beginning to increase in what exactly is going to transpire as we go throughout the next really 8 to 24 hours across the area because this severe weather potential is real. It's one of the highest ones we've had in a long time, one of the highest ones really we've had ever, at least since I've been living here in Northwest Arkansas in the River Valley. A lot of the analogs are very similar to some of the past significant severe weather events we've seen here in our area, even some that were almost 2 decades ago in 2006. So we're going to go ahead and get right to it. You want to see the latest information, and here it is. There's the tornado risk. You can see the strong to violent tornado potential is still there, especially along and east of Interstate 49. But here's the thing. I've been stressing this all morning long. Don't get caught up in the risk. Don't get caught up in, oh, I'm not in the enhanced risk or I'm not in the moderate risk. So I don't have to worry about what's going on at my house. You'll notice here about 90% of our coverage area, folks, has that potential for significant tornadoes. In fact, I do think with the next update, this will shift a little bit further west. But this right here, again, don't get caught up in the colors. Every single location in Northwest Arkansas in the River Valley is going to have that potential for strong and violent tornadoes tonight. Now, is everybody going to see, that potential be realized? No, not at all. In fact, I would say most locations will not see severe weather tonight. However, the storms that do form in the areas that do see severe weather will be heavily impacted by the system, and that's the thing that we're watching right now. And this is why we say don't panic, right? Just be prepared for severe weather in case it strikes your area. Because again, this is one of those systems where you get one or two isolated supercells that cause big time issues. But if you're prepared for it, you'll be ready to roll. If it doesn't hit your location, at least you're prepared for it. And that's what we're looking at with this system right now. Now here's the deal too. I see a couple comments about the models. At this point, right, me personally, I still use the models as guidance, but now we're looking out the window. Now we're looking at what's going on in the atmosphere right now. So I want to go back here to the graphics. I'm going to take myself out of the picture here. I want to show you guys what's going on in the mid-levels right now. You can see the mid-level moisture beginning to crank up to our southwest. You can see the ejecting trough to our west as well. And this, folks, right here, this is trouble. This is the dry punch that's going to try and nose its way in. And if that happens, we are going to see the potential for significant severe weather across our area. It does look like that's going to happen. A lot of the models were showing that the mid levels are going to be very dry in the afternoon hours. Mid levels are moist now. That there's no doubt about that. You can see it funneling in right now. We are moist at the surface. We're moist at the low levels. We're moist at the mid levels. Severe weather potential is increasing. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna go to the latest timing now because that has changed somewhat. And what I mean by that is I mean that some of those storms that we were looking at earlier yesterday, um, they things have changed with the higher resolution models. So some of the models that we look at, such as Josh Weisel mentioned, the Texas Tech WRF, you don't really have a lot of access to. It's an experimental model, right? But those models were picking up on those smaller scale details yesterday. And now some of the higher resolution models that we could show you on air and here with our graphics are now picking up on those things and showing that greater severe weather potential now, especially compared to what it was showing yesterday, at least with the reflectivity. So let's go ahead and show you that latest timing. So you'll notice, again, I do think there's the potential for one or two isolated supercells to develop before 9 o'clock p.m. in Northwest Arkansas. Now, don't be fooled here by what you're seeing on this reflectivity map. This is likely not precipitation. This is cloud cover that's just showing up on the radar. However, I do think there is potential. Is it very high potential? No. But there is potential for a supercell to form after 4 o'clock p.m. Here in Northwest Arkansas in the River Valley, as early as that. You notice here it tries to break out a couple of them right around 7, 8 o'clock across the area. That's certainly a trend we've got to watch very closely there. But these isolated supercells, folks, that form out ahead of the line like this right here, that's bad news for our area. This is showing isolated, discrete supercells out ahead of the cold front, which is way back here. You could probably barely see my arrow right now, but it's way back here. That's where the cold front is. These are supercells way out ahead of that front. And these are bad news because these are going to tap into those significant tornado parameters that are going to be in place once the low-level jet kicks in after sunset. And it could be a long night for many of us here in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Again, though, is this certain to happen? Is this certain to happen in this exact area? Absolutely not, right? This is just one model run that's showing one depiction of what could happen. But you look for trends, folks. And yesterday, the models weren't showing much at all. We were complaining about that because we knew that with this piece of energy coming in, that there would be trouble. And sure enough, down the models are starting to come around and showing those thunderstorms breaking out. And I'm telling you what, the supercell that's showing up on the HRRR, folks, this particular model is bad news right here that's moving just to the southeast Fayetteville. Again, this is not the exact location. This may not be the exact location where the supercell is developing, but this is the trend that we're starting to see with these storms. So now I just noticed, I looked back at StreamYard. I see that Dan Scoff is here in the stream. Dan.
What's going on, Josh?
I can hear you loud and clear.
As you can see, I'm still at the Casa here. Not going to get in until about 1 o'clock. Josh, I know you've got everything kind of handled and covered. There's obviously a lot of questions that are just flying out left and right. Got a little workout on the treadmill. But Josh is kind of hinting at it, that there have been trends that supercells are going to develop. It's almost kind of astounding how kind of consistent the models have been, especially this morning, on developing isolated supercells.
It has. And I just now mentioned that because Josh Weisel's in here, big supporter of the Texas Tech WRF. That model was picking up on those smaller scale details a day before everything else was starting to trend that way.
100%. Yep.
And now you're seeing the HRRR showing isolated supercell development way ahead of the cold front, tapping into the significant tornado parameters once that low-level jet kicks in after sunset, and that's bad news. I mean, it's not good news. But again, when we're looking at these maps, Dan, I've been stressing the importance of this too. Even though you see a cell that's right over Fayetteville or right over Huntsville, like it's showing with the model right now, it doesn't necessarily mean the storm is going to be in that area at that time. It's just one model's depiction of what could happen. That's why we look for trends, and the trends have been for more isolated supercell development after 9 o'clock p.m. this evening.
Absolutely. One of the things, too, that I want to mention is, and I can't stress this enough, that this is a high-impact but low-coverage event. Yes. It appears, Josh, that there might be one or two supercells that come through Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Potentially, that's what the model's showing. I think personally there might be especially more storms when the front kind of finally comes through, but because there's just too much instability that's tapped in. But it's going to be a case where, let's say the supercell tracks in southern Washington County. So Greenland, Winslow, Brentwood, these are areas that are going to be impacted, but Springdale might not see a drop of rain.
Yep. Exactly.
That's a possibility that we have tonight with these isolated supercells. At the same time, though, while it sounds like, well, that's not a big deal because not everybody gets rain, the potential is high impact, and I mean extremely high impact for those areas that are in the track of those storms.
This is a rare event in Northwest Arkansas, Dan. As a storm chaser and a lot of people out there I know that are watching right now may storm chase as well. These are typically setups you see out in the plains, out in central Oklahoma, out in central Kansas, out in central Nebraska, where you get those one or two isolated supercells that cause huge problems, that cause, potentially strong to violent tornadoes. And this just doesn't happen that often in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. We typically do not see those parameters in place over our area. By the time those storms arrive, they've either grown linear or they've weakened, or they're highly elevated, and they don't have as much, potential for strong to violent tornado development. This system is different in the sense that we're having those supercells, one or two, like you just mentioned, that are long track and extremely deadly and extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's why we've been harping on it all week, to be prepared tonight in case those supercells track over your area. But like you said, not everybody's going to be impacted by it.
No. And it's not only that, it's not just the tornado potential. These storms are going to have massive hail. I don't know if you saw, which really concerns me, the model soundings for tonight. Did you see what the SARS analogs date was at the top?
Did not.
Maybe you should bring that up.
I will
let you be surprised at that. So 3Z on the HRRR. Look at the model sounding over Fayetteville. In the meantime, while you're bringing that up, Josh, and let me know if you need help. It's going to be probably on Pivotal Weather. I'm going to bring up some questions here. Barton says, probability of a PDS tornado watch. I would say that's like 70, 80% at this point. With the type of environment and the ingredients that are in place, and if storms are expected to develop and the models continue to trend isolated supercells, I would fully expect a PDS watch tonight. The Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center's wording verifies that a PDS watch will be issued. They talk about a rare nighttime event. We have some questions too about individual towns. So I know that on Facebook, people ask, and social media, what about my place? What about my location? We can't tell you this far in advance. Now, when the storms develop and we start tracking them, that's when we'll be able to tell you what storms, what areas are going to be impacted. So there's your tornado risk. And you can see that that includes the entire area. So the threat, the potential is there. The storms are expected to be a little more intense when they get farther east, just because they're going to be a little more mature. I wouldn't be surprised, though. What do you think if they back that up a little bit more?
I think they back that up for the West in the next update, Dan. I would not be shocked at all. I actually am anticipating they'll do that.
We're going to find out. So Jacob asked PDS watch. Yes, I do believe so. Should Evansville be on alert? Yeah. Everyone needs to be on alert and high alert. What about Elma and Fort Smith, Rena? We don't know at this point. It appears that the storms are going to be very tough to get that far south, but that's just the models. And remember, the models aren't very good at the temperatures, all that stuff. Sounding from Springfield looked pretty potent. It absolutely did. The sounding from Springfield was pretty tremendous. In fact, I hear you clicking away, and you can tell me when you get it here.
Is it 3Z with the 12Z HRRR?
I want to say yes.
Okay, is it over Fayetteville?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll tell you the exact time.
RAP, MAF, AMA, OAX.
Oh, let's see here.
That might be the wrong one.
Okay, so it's the wrap. It's the wrap sounding from 12Z for 2Z.
Okay, from 12Z to 2C, right over Fayetteville, you said.
Right over Fayetteville. Yep.
Okay. FTD TOP?
Sure, why not? Go ahead and bring that up.
Yep, I'm gonna share my screen. Hold on, stand by.
The hail looks to be monstrous. The hail is going to be monstrous. So what time is this all coming in while you're bringing that up? Yeah, there you go. So I don't know if you can zoom in. What does that say at the top for the analog?
Hold on. Let me zoom in. Is it zoomed in now a little bit more?
Yeah, you can see it a little bit more. Yeah, but you got to pan down. Just so you can go ahead and read it off for supercell. Yeah, that doesn't look like quite the same sounding, but it's pretty close.
12Z.
Yeah, it's close. But first of all, look at the effective layer significant tornado potential. That's definitely in the upper echelon of we're talking stronger tornadoes. Also, what I was seeing was May 3rd, 99.
No way.
I kid you not.
Oh man. Yeah, I was gonna say if I saw that on there, I would have been going crazy.
That's what I saw too. Here, look.
Okay. Yeah. That's bad. That's really bad. You don't ever want to see May 4th, 99 on there.
Because May 4th it's after 0Z, which by the way, there were tornadoes in Northwest Arkansas. There was a tornado that nearly hit the Walmart on 6th Street, which is now called Martin Luther King at the time. It lifted at Kessler Mountain, but it tracked on the ground for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a strong tornado too. May 3rd, 99 is no joke.
I mean, that's one of the kings of severe weather events right there. That's one of those ones you see in the textbook. Look who remembers, mate. Look at this guy who remembers.
Yeah.
That event. He saw the Moore, Oklahoma tornado.
Yeah. I saw 20 tornadoes in that storm chase. 20.
You saw enough for a lifetime.
Yeah.
One
enough
chase.
for a year's worth.
Yeah.
So Jeanette is asking, we got some people on here that might have commented a few minutes ago. Let's go through the timing again. And you can bring up those HRRR models. We are looking at, I personally believe timing is going to be a window from late evening, which is kind of more uncertain.
Yes.
So I'm thinking around 10, 11 o'clock, maybe perhaps a little earlier, but I'm not buying the earlier, just looking at the water vapor. We've got a huge ridge over us right now.
Yes.
So I don't see much development during the afternoon into the early evening. But I do expect that storms are going to pop later on tonight around 10 o'clock into 11 o'clock. So first of all, the model does this where it has this cloud cover. Notice the temperatures now a lot warmer. Before it was showing low 70s. So, of course, the models weren't developing because it wasn't warm enough. So then it was cooler than the cap, and therefore the cap was holding the storms back. Now we got a different story.
I talked about this with you this morning too, Dan, about the temperatures this morning. Right, I was just interested, checking the models from yesterday, showing lows in the middle 60s. Didn't even get close to that this morning. We were in the 70s in Fayetteville and Fort Smith. I mean,
Zach and I were talking about that, but it's tough to go too cool. I think we went upper 60s, but we were just like, no,
y'all did.
You're not going to get down. I don't even think we get down below 70. It didn't make sense. You got dew points in the mid 60s. How are you going to drop into the low 60s? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
There are times where you have to just not look at the computer models, think about it meteorologically, and say, you know what? This doesn't make sense. If we've got dew points in the mid 60s, which we do with a south wind, there's no way you're going to mix that out. There's no way you're going to decrease the dew points in that type of environment. So why would you go low 60s?
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense in reality. And sometimes these models are not rooted in reality, especially more than the day out.
Now, here's what we've got at midnight. I really think 10 p.m. to about 5 a.m. is going to be our trouble time. I also see a wave coming in because of the slow movement of the trough. I see possibly some storms in the early morning hours in the river valley. Now, does the HRRR show that, or is this it, one and done?
No, there'll be more, I believe. There'll be more development.
Yep, there it is.
There's your redevelopment.
There, ooh, man.
And that's a broken line, by the way, too. So these are semi-discrete supercells that have significant tornado potential with them.
It really does remind me of March 12, 2006. We had two supercells, one specifically that came through Bentonville and the Benton County area. And I'm not saying that's going to be where the area that's going to be impacted by these storms. I'm just saying the way there was one storm and then the line came through, which, by the way, was intense. And the models didn't have it as strong as it was. And it was a very strong line that actually had tornado warnings, and people were on edge that night on March 12, 2006. It was a Sunday night. What are we doing with cloud cover right now? Let's look at a visible satellite. Let's start looking out the window here. So that gives you an idea, Jeanette, on the timing. I'm going to, while you're doing that, I'm going to go through a bunch of other stuff.
So is there a way where I can show you just by yourself?
No, you don't need to show me by myself.
Okay. Okay.
You don't need to see this. You've seen enough of this. Look at these right here. Only
It's a good
4
looking young
hours.
man right there.
Only 4 hours of sleep. In fact, here's what I'll do. I'll show you the mid-level. I'll show the mid-level moisture a little bit better. So if I do this, that'll bring that up full.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, I'll show this one more time here while that's hold on.
Get rid of my garbage.
I'm gonna save this as a new show element. That way we can.
Jennifer says, do we need to get our closets ready in Springdale? I'd get your closets ready everywhere. In fact, we're getting ours ready. Now, I will say this, that we moved into a new house. We don't have a tornado shelter. If you're interested in a tornado shelter, message me. Let me know on Facebook. Message me, say you're in the market for one, and I can direct you to some places where you can get a good tornado shelter. So, in fact, we're going to be doing that too. I just haven't had time to do it. So it is a lot of cloud cover.
It's very high cloudiness.
It is high cloudiness. It's what we call filtered sunshine, which, by the way, May 3rd had filtered sunshine. But it almost looks like there's a break in the cirrus.
There is. I see it.
North of Dallas. Yep, there it is. Yep. A little hole in the cirrus.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting, though, if you go back to the water vapor, Josh.
Yep.
Look at that ridge. That's why we're not going to see storms. You can see the ridge of high pressure. How do you see that? Well, it's that basically dome, if you will.
It looks like a dome. That's exactly what it looks like.
That's what it is. That's a ridge. Look at where the dry punch happened, and look at the storms that are exploding up in Illinois.
Yep.
You can see those. One thing I will say, though, is that the energy is going to be fairly subtle for us. I don't think it's subtle enough where nothing happens, but if you notice the brunt of the energy, go ahead and pan to the north if you can. Because, Josh, there's that low, and zoom out a little bit too. That low has now ejected and is now going almost northeast.
Yes, no doubt about it.
You'll see it. But there are subtle energy, little pieces of energy that are coming in from the southwest. So Patrick said it great. Every storm system isn't the same. This system is a rare event. It absolutely is. East Rogers headed to East Beaver Lake. We'll find out, Margie. I mean, honestly, we don't know at this point. Bella Vista doesn't have any tornado sirens. Yeah, don't rely on them. You shouldn't be, because you're going to be most likely inside your house or inside your place of residence. And if it's a mobile home, manufactured home, you got to think about getting to a more substantial structure. You live anywhere in the risk area, you need to be alert tonight. Hi, Dan. Is a bathtub safe from a tornado? Just asking. Well, Daniel, if that bathtub is a bathroom that has windows, the answer is no. That's not safe. But if it's a bathroom that doesn't have an exterior wall or windows, then that's a good place to be. May 4th was bad too. It sure as heck was.
Bad.
All right. Dan, should I go somewhere else tonight other than my top level apartment? So, Kylie, you asked this question yesterday, and I will say that if you are on a top story or a middle story apartment, you absolutely want to get down to the lowest level or get to the apartment shelter or safe place, or maybe a friend. But this is only when the storms develop. Now, we will give you ahead of time an update, because one of the nice things with these storms is that they're going to develop. We'll be able to track them ahead of time, and we're going to let you know at approximately what time they're going to be arriving.
Yeah, we're going to be also doing meso analysis throughout the day too, to, like you said, Dan, look out the window. Those smaller scale details that we pick up on water vapor and on satellite and on that meso analysis page on SPC, that's really going to determine, first of all, where those storms set up and how intense they are. Yeah.
So Derek had a great question. This was just a few minutes ago, so we're not too far behind. Will you all be on any of the radio stations? Absolutely. KLRC, which is very basically very vigilant for their viewing or for their listening audience in Eastern Oklahoma. That on the radio station is 90.9 KLRC, also 101.1 99.5 FM, and then there's 103.5. So depending on where you live, if you can get KLRC, they will be streaming our weather coverage. We're also on Cumulus radio stations. I've told them to get that type of technology. I can't confirm if they have it or not. Also, from what I've heard, KISS 104, which is not KICS 104, but KISS 105.3 FM. Excuse me, KISS 105.3. They will also potentially have our weather coverage. So we will never forget Ron Miller, 3/12/2006. Yep, I remember that storm very well. And a matter of fact, it was oddly enough during Tornado Week on the Weather Channel. And the gentleman that was covering the storms was in Springdale, and he was talking about fire weather, which of course is going to be a major concern too. It is almost uncanny how much this system like mimics the March 12th event, according to what we're seeing at this point. Sun is out in Van Buren. Let's bring up a WeatherBug camera. Josh, you could do that real fast through OBS and bring up Fort Smith. Yeah, that's definitely some broken clouds.
Broken cloud, and you notice very high cloudiness too, that filtered sun like you were talking about.
Yeah, and I know that I know that, you know, we're heightened this severe weather risk, but for good reason. The parameters and conditions, the ingredients are there. I know this can fall apart. And if it does, I just want to let you know the potential was there for a devastating night. I hope it doesn't realize its potential.
We are praying hard that it busts.
We're preparing you. We're not trying to scare you. We're preparing you. There's no reason to get into your shelter now. We're not even close to storms yet. And in fact, you know, honestly, I think the Razorback game could have went off, no problem. I don't see many storms at 5 o'clock. But I know they did it out of caution in case a storm does develop. You don't want to be outside and caught in that. I know Clarksville canceled their school plans. They were going to play Shiloh Christian in soccer tonight, but then they were worried about the drive home. Hey, I get it. These storms, they can impact you. They come quick. They hit hard. And if you're out there, you know, you're susceptible to those. So I live in a fifth wheel camper in Gentry. Oh, boy. That is definitely not a safe place at all. So if there is a tornado that's coming towards Gentry, which, by the way, is going to be in western Benton County, and that's going to be one of the areas that's going to be impacted if those storms move in, you need to have a plan right now. This is what we talk about. Develop your plan. Has Bella Vista ever had a tornado, or is it too hilly? Bella Vista has for sure had a tornado. Now, you might not see a lot of them on the storm reports, but I know there was a tornado on January 8th, 2007. It was the night of the national championship. There were supercells all over the place in Northwest Arkansas. And then on January 8th, in the early morning hours, there was a tornado that came through. Chris Mortenson's house in North Bella Vista was impacted by it. I went out. I looked at the damage. It was no doubt tornado damage. It wasn't a strong tornado, but it was a tornado. February 29th of 2012, that was the Branson tornado.
Leap day.
Right? Yeah, leap day. That was the leap day Branson tornado. That also had strong rotation that came through Bella Vista, and the same storm that came through Bella Vista ended up producing the Branson tornado.
I'll tell you what.
After midnight, timing for Rogers. Go ahead.
I was going to say a common misconception I've been hearing on social media and even here in studio, Dan, is that the topography of Northwest Arkansas prevents tornado development. And it does have, I think it has a little bit of impact, but it doesn't play a significant role, especially
with strong to violent tornadoes. Maybe with the weaker ones, but there can be supercells in the area. Someone asked a question about tornadoes going up hills, and they may not be on here anymore, but tornadoes can absolutely go up hills. They can go up hills. They can drop down in valleys. Look at the February 5th, 2008 tornado, Super Tuesday. That tornado went through some of the most rough and rugged terrain, and it just went up the mountain, down the mountain, and just was a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
You know what? We're getting close to the new risk, and I'll stay on here until the new risk.
I want to see it too. I'm interested to see if that moderate shifts a little further west.
My goodness, we got a lot of people on here.
Good. I mean, it's good.
We appreciate it.
Yes, we really do.
I don't see any of the comments you're referring to on Facebook. So we're broadcasting on multiple pages, Lynn. And so we've got all of those streams coming together. So if someone comments on a KNWA Facebook page, but you're logged in on meteorologist Dan Scott's page, you won't see that. Or on Josh Rugger's page. So that's why, Lynn, you're not seeing those comments that we're talking about. My area of Fayetteville has no sirens. I got to say this, guys, and don't rely on the tornado sirens. You realize this is old technology?
Very old.
Very old technology. But it's such this common misconception that it's going to wake me up or it's going to alert me that there's a tornado coming, and they are meant for the outdoors. I've got a graphic if you want to bring it up. Just type in siren.
And I was going to say the one thing I've been stressing throughout the morning, every single forecast, Dan, is have multiple ways to receive warnings tonight. You need everything going off so that you wake up if severe weather strikes your area. I mean, it's the phone. I know the phone, right? They automatically send alerts. It's not enough. It's not enough.
You know why? If the phone cell service goes down, which is highly possible with a tornado coming through, knocking down cell towers, destroying them, you're not going to get those alerts. If you lose power, your Wi-Fi router is down. Now what? You don't have any way to get those alerts. And that's what happened a lot with the April 27, 2011 event. There was a QLCS, almost like a pseudo derecho that came through in the morning, destroyed the power grid infrastructure, and next thing you know, people were without warning and didn't know it was coming because all the alerting methods were down. That was
the event that changed warning methods.
Worst case scenario. Let's go to that graphic again. Don't rely on them, please. They won't wake you up if you're inside your home. Don't wait for the sirens because they may not sound because they're triggered sometimes by a personnel. And a lot of times, they may warn them from a tornado watch. That happened too. One time, 3 a.m, Josh, we get a call saying the sirens are going off. And I'm like, oh, it was just a tornado watch that was issued, not a tornado warning. So know the difference.
Graphic on that.
Yeah, which is going to make me hungry. I haven't had lunch yet. What are the dew points currently? Let's check them out.
Yep,
I can check them out.
I can take a closer look at it real quick here. Stand by.
All right. He's going to be pulling up a bunch of stuff. There you go. So 63. So there may be been a little bit of drop into the dew points, but with the southerly winds, not much. Let's do the regional one.
Yep.
And there you go. 66 dew point. And look at those yellow shades. Those are surging north.
70s. Those are 70 dew points in those yellow shades. That's very moist.
And there's a chance we get close to 70. Ron Miller, thank you so much, sir. Good to see you on social media. I know you said you were going to say, peace, I'm out of here, and I don't blame you on some of that stuff. But because sometimes it can be a little toxic. But downstairs, under something, center a house, keep away from windows. Learn it and share it. I was so proud of Michael Waddle. He actually quoted it. I don't know if you heard that or not. I got this from Mike Francis, former meteorologist in Little Rock. He's the one that came up with it. I got to give credit where credit's due. I've taken it and run with it. It's great for the kids to remember. There are still some kids, when I did a weather talk 10 years ago, come up to me and say, I remember duck.
I mean, that shows that it works.
Yeah.
The acronym works.
Yes, please, Melissa. We live in a mobile home in Lowell, right, on the Springdale-Lowell line. Should we plan on staying at our daughter's house tonight? So here's the deal. You don't have to go there now. But have a plan that if you see us talking about an isolated supercell that's coming towards the Springdale-Lowell area, and it will be like maybe a half hour out, that's the time when you need to go. not when you're under a warning, because the storms are going to be moving at 50 miles an hour and you may not have time to get there. I promise you, when the storms develop, we're going to give you plenty of heads up. We're going to give you so much of a heads up, you're going to be sick of seeing us.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
What are some good apps for earnings? Well, that's a good question. Everybody's trying to make a buck. I don't think I make anything on all this, but that's not the point of it. Here's tornado safety, and this is what we talk about. So Tornado Watch, that's going to be a 95% mesoscale discussion that they say Tornado Watch is going to be issued. I'd say an 80% chance that we have a PDS Tornado Watch. This is an enhanced risk for tornadoes, not only enhanced risk for tornadoes, but also you have the potential for strong to violent tornadoes, essentially an outbreak of dangerous tornadoes. I mean, all tornadoes are dangerous, especially if you're in mobile homes. But tornado warning is that a tornado has been either indicated on radar or sighted. And then there's the tornado emergency, significant with tornado likelihood of fatalities. Josh, I need you to do me a favor. We're going to educate our people here while I answered some more questions. Go to Mega Doppler with all of the different warning polygons that are loaded up.
Yes.
JT says, late to the party. What are your thoughts on tornado? Today, not so much. Overnight tonight, yes. Tornado is looking pretty likely. Is Hot Springs getting severe weather tonight? Not tonight, but it would be early, late morning. Oh, I will never forget April 21st, 96. I can imagine. That was, of course, April 21st, 96 was, that was a big one. That was the Fort Smith Van Buren tornado. Also, April 26, 91 is flip those dates around. That was the Andover tornado. Okay, so here's Mega Doppler. Josh, you can take the little arrow and you can show it. So we've got multiple types of warnings that are going to be going out. Severe thunderstorm warning. That means a storm with 58 mile an hour winds or greater, or hail quarter size, which is 1 inch and larger, is possible in that warning polygon. Also, the potential for a tornado that makes a severe storm, but then it would be tornado warning. A damaging thunderstorm means that the winds are 70 miles an hour, which, by the way, is over severe strength, and golf ball size hail. And then you go over on that, and then you've got the destructive. So this has a little darker brown around the orange. Very noticeable, very evident. You no doubt can tell the difference. In fact, there should be one right now. Isn't there a severe storm? Josh, I think there is in Illinois, unless it expired.
I was muted. Sorry about that. There is a destructive storm right now in Illinois, and I can just zoom out here and show you what the polygon looks like.
Yeah. So this doesn't have all the – oh, that's coming right towards Chi-Town.
Yeah. But, this one's the considerable tag, so that would be the damaging thunderstorm. And then these ones down here are the destructive thunderstorm ones with potential for catastrophic damage.
Let's make that a little wider on the let's make that a little wider on the polygon. So what you do with that is you just go to edit and then go to warning settings. It's not that. Yep, right there.
On view.
There you go. And then let's do the destructive. Click on that. And then let's make that 5. 5 and 5. So what we're doing is we're altering. We're just going to make that look a little bit bigger. So hit apply. Hit OK. Okay, that looks a little bit better. So now you're able to tell, okay, that one means business. So now you get the idea. All right, let's go back down to tornado warning. Tornado warning means that a radar indicated is rotating strongly enough and it could produce a tornado. That's just what we call a base tornado warning. You've got over to that, a tornado observed. Tornado observed is where you have a black kind of highlight with 2 surrounding red lines. That's a tornado observed. So we'll be able to tell you, looking at what we call correlation coefficient, the radar, if a tornado is touching down. You scroll over from that, you've got strong tornado. Now, this is what Little Rock had issued, showing the potential for, it's called a considerable. Considerable means that the potential for damage is likely. It could be a strong tornado on the order of EF3, EF2, EF3. And then you've got over to that where a strong tornado is coming into a heavily populated area, a tornado emergency. There's only been one time in my weather coverage history that I've covered a tornado emergency for our area, and that was that storm that was moving into Pegs into southwest Delaware County. Thankfully, it weakened as it came into Benton County. But tornado emergency, which, by the way, I might be wearing that hook echo tie tonight. What do you think, Josh?
I think
come to fruition today.
You get to bring it out because these are actually going to be supercells.
Stand by. I'll show them what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. Today it's justified. That's for sure. With that hook echo tie. I'm going to go ahead and go back here so everybody can see that later. So we just got an update, by the way, on that severe weather potential, and it has shifted further west. So as expected, the moderate risk doesn't look like it shifted any further west, but the potential for significant tornadoes has. You can now see that you got that medium risk of tornadoes all the way into Benton County. So the entire coverage area, we talked about this all morning. The entire coverage area has the potential for strong to violent tornadoes. As I said before, don't get too caught up in the colors, right? The entire area will have that chance for strong to violent tornadoes. And Dan, this is the latest update, by the way. You'll notice that the medium risk for tornadoes has now shifted further west. So has the enhanced risk. So that's the update. The moderate risk hasn't shifted any further west. But we do have a high risk of Mercedes.
We got a high risk of cuteness right here.
Yeah.
There's Mercedes right here. Yeah, she just woke up from a nap.
Yeah, I can tell. She's like, ugh.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, whatever, Dan. It's gonna fizzle.
I've been tracking these storms all day.
It's gonna weaken. I'm not concerned at all. I sure hope so, Mercedes. She doesn't look concerned at all. She actually is not scared of storms at all. She is scared of clicks, though, aren't you? You don't like clicks at all. She's like, why'd you get me up? I didn't even get to do my fur.
She's like, I've been tracking the models all night. I only got 4 hours of sleep.
Anyways,
oh, wait.
There she is. That's the hook echo tie. And boy, I hope we don't have to break that out tonight. But I think I'm going to be wearing that.
I think it's coming. I think it's justified.
Okay, so Mitchell says, she's like, not impressed.
Not impressed.
Latest dew points in Northwest Arkansas, 67. Some of the models have nearly 70. So we should be okay to travel from work to home around 7 p.m. Yeah, I think so. Do you think anything develops before 7 p.m.?
There's still potential, but it's very low. I would say it's there, but below 20%.
I hope this falls apart, says someone. It's 2 different pages, one his, one in the station. So they're talking about the different comments. Rogers District making decision about athletic events at 11:30. So if Vance, what's going on? Vance is my weather guru.
The guru. Yes.
Former neighbor, always a friend, but appreciate it. Jason says siren's the last thing you should depend on. Absolutely. We're going to do a quick lightning round. How about Bentonville near Vaughn? Like I said, we don't know areas at this point. Don't you wish we'd have the technology?
Oh, cutie.
Good dude. Really juice.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Been down here. I wish we had the technology where we would be able to tell you exactly where a storm's going to be a day, 2 days in advance. The Texas Tech WRF hints that Benton and Washington County will see supercells. So
it sure has been persistent on that, hasn't it? over the last few model runs. I mean, like the last 4 model runs, it showed a pretty consistent supercell over Benton and Washington County.
Derek remembers the Sunset Hazel Valley area. I went and visited that damage. Had the tornado the last 2 years around Sunset Hazel Valley. That's right. I thought it said tornado tie, but he was talking about tornado. Yeah. Fun fact, hills don't keep tornadoes away. It just isn't ideal for tornadoes. They can still happen. Oh, how about that? March 2005, tornado was on the ground for a long time through Benton County. 2006 had that one too on March 12th. I live in Cincinnati, and today's weather reminds me of the New Year's Eve tornado.
You mentioned that, Dan. You mentioned that.
December 31st, 2010. Okay, so we're just going to try to get through. We're 11:26, so I've got to kind of go through pretty quick. Nadia says, watching from Centerton. You clowns, make sure you go underground. Okay, so we do have a tornado safe place in our building. It's an interior stairwell, and we can actually get a little bit below ground.
That's nice. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Why not update it? Don't know what that means.
Is he talking about the SPC risk? Because it has been updated and it's shifted further west.
Do the moderate risk. The Code Red app. Yes, Code Red is good. Weather Call is good. These are all things that you can have to have different alerts. Yeah, and then now that marginal goes all the way to Oklahoma City.
Bad news, man.
So do you have an app you recommend we download? That is going to be a shameless plug, Richard.
The Weather Authority app.
Yep.
Now
we watch Dank Scoff. Boy, must be a friend of Chelsea, because Chelsea's the only one that calls me Dank.
I call you MC Cumulus.
Oh, and then he said Dan. Oh my gosh! All right. Code Red is great. No internet phone service. No Code Red comes through. That's trouble. Go to a basement before the storm hits. April 26th did the same thing. We had no warning then either. You don't need sirens. I checked the batteries on my upstairs weather radio. There will also be some straight line winds, what we call the RFD. How strong is the cap for Northwest Arkansas? It's not strong enough, I don't think.
Yeah, once that piece of energy moves in, that's when storms are going to really take off after sunset.
Bella Vista has multiple golf courses, miles of heavy used biking trails where reception can be poor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for outdoors, it might not be a bad idea. But then again, it's not going to really be cost effective. They're not very cheap. But I'm praying Gentry cancels their sports events tonight. Hey, what is the 4 kilometer graph show? Or actually even the 3 kilometer graph?
Let's look at the 4 kilometer first here. Need to go back. Oh boy, I see an uptrend there, Dan.
Okay.
Just a moment. Let me go forward a little bit here. So there's a couple of cells that try to form there, and look at this.
Yeah, that's a lot worse.
That's bad. If the graph's showing that, that's the 4 kilometer. Remember.
And then it's got more, but. See, what's problem is that storm right there is supposedly removing all the energy everywhere else, which is why no additional storms form.
Which would make sense.
It's Rogers. It's sunny and windy. In the future, will Springdale have a public? I can't answer that. I don't think so, because I tried when I first got here. I tried to develop a public tornado shelter system, but they don't want people driving around.
3 kilometer graph, Dan.
I see that. And it stops right there.
Yep.
And it's going to be a long night, especially the meteorologists.
Yeah.
Will Siloam get anything? Well, here's Lisa. You can see that's
potential.
That's impacting us.
Yep.
Does today compare to the 1996 tornado? It's fairly similar. We can look at that.
This is definitely on the higher end in terms of tornado parameters. I mean, we were looking at that too, Dan. Obviously, SIG Tor, when you're looking at it on the models, it's not the end all be all. It's very Cape biased, but it was showing it off the charts even yesterday. I mean, we know that the environment in place is super, super pumped up right now.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of juice. Now, I did see one comment, Dan, if you don't mind me going back to this real quick here.
Yeah,
This is from
please
Lisa.
do.
Yep, this is from Lisa. She said, would Goshen be in the 3 or the 4? Here's the thing, Lisa, and I mentioned this at the very beginning of this live. Don't pay attention to the specific risk, right? I know obviously you're going to see level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk west of Interstate 49, level 4 out of 5 moderate risk east of there. But the entire coverage area, all the way from eastern Oklahoma into eastern portions of northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, have the potential for strong to violent tornadoes tonight. So I know that the risk areas, it looks like it's cut off in Goshen, or it looks like it's cut off in western portions of northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. But regardless, it doesn't matter where you are, there is that potential for strong to violent tornadoes. So that I wanted to mention that, Dan, before I forgot about it.
Yeah, no, that's great. I appreciate you looking into that. I will show this right here, the SIPS analogs. It's kind of hard.
Great resource. A great resource to look back at previous events and compare them.
When it gets this close, then you start running into trouble, though.
Which, by the way, speaking of which, I don't know if this is too like geeking out now, but I do want to show that Colorado State University analog. You know what I was showing you the other day?
Yeah, and then also the Scram too.
Mm-hmm.
So the Scram didn't go out far enough last time I looked. Now it's going out to 4Z, which I still don't think is out far enough too. Oh. Boy, 4Z, and it's starting to develop supercells. All the trends are showing supercells now. It is just not good.
Not good. It's an uptrend, man. It's an uptrend.
So, Courtney, it's just as a matter of where the storms track, honestly. Would tonight's storms be a squall line? They will on the cold front when it comes through. But initially, they're going to be supercells. Man, this wind is crazy. People are saying the wind is crazy, and rightfully so. All right, yeah.
And by the way, one thing to mention too with these with this analog, and with the CSU comp map, Dan, is that I was showing you this about 4 or 5 days ago. It was showing that bullseye of significant severe weather potential right over northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. I mean, it had the dark purple over our area, and it did a tremendous job a few days before the event that happened in central Arkansas with picking up on where exactly that significant tornado potential was going to be with that system on Friday. Again, not saying that's going to happen over our area, but this has proven to be a pretty reliable resource in terms of determining where that significant severe weather potential is going to set up.
You just woke up Mercedes, so that brought her attention right there.
It did. She stood at attention there. You could see it in her eyes.
She did. When she saw that, she just she got up. She's like, okay, maybe this is serious here.
I'm a little impressed now.
Now she's looking at it a little bit more.
Yes.
Thank you, beautiful dog, said someone. It's a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. Thoughts on driving tomorrow? Golly, that's going to be interesting. I think storms are going to be kind of moving out between 5 to 7, but could possibly still linger. So
it could linger. I don't know if they'll have as much SIGTOR potential at that point.
Madison, best radio stations again. We got KLRC, which is 90.9 KLRC, also 101.1, depending on where you're at. If you're in the River Valley, it also comes in at 101.1. And then you've got 99.5, 103.5. Those are areas where the signal might be a little weaker in parts of Bella Vista, Bentonville, and stuff like that. Check the batteries in the weather radios. We are absolutely still capped right now. Nothing better than a Cavalier to make you feel better. 100%. Sweetest dog ever. KLRC was one of them. Other meteorologists are worried about the system, including retired ones. How about that? Cat's even worried about it.
Yeah, that's big. That's big.
When was the tornado that hit East Fayetteville? Well, there's been several. So we got March 19th. There was a QLCS tornado that came through. Actually, it was March 29th. I take that back. March 29th, which, by the way, we're right in the sweet spot of those storms. There was a tornado that hit on April 10th, 2008. That was in southeast Fayetteville. The one in East Fayetteville, well, that would have been, March 30th of last year. That hit near the mall, which was Fayetteville, Malco Razorback Cinema too. Hey, I got a friend calling. I'm just gonna mute my mic here, and you could take over for just.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go through some comments here, and we'll continue to see what's going on here. So I'm just gonna kind of scroll up just a little bit here to make sure we get through all the comments, or as many as possible. We're trying to get to all of your comments. I know folks want to know about some particular or specific areas. Again, I'll go ahead and show this here before I get back to the comments. We'll go back to that SPC Day 1 Outlook. That way you guys can see that. And I'll also continue to answer some questions here. So, again, timing after sunset looks like the favorite time frame for those severe weather, for those thunderstorms to start to take off. But again, they could take off as early as 4:00 p.m. Very low confidence that happens, but the more likely time frame will be after 9 p.m. here in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. Yes, great reminder, Mitchell. Don't be out there. Don't be outside. Don't put your camera out there or get yourself into trouble. When you see that storm, when you see that warning, if you're in that track of the storm, you need to be taking cover. You don't need to be outside, especially at night too. Dan's been storm chasing for many decades now. I've storm chased for a few years, and I'll tell you what, nighttime chasing, messing with storms at night, you can get a whole lot of trouble. So just don't do it. Get to your tornado shelter as quickly as possible. Chris, love to hear that. Love to hear that the storm shelter's ready to go. Definitely glad to hear that people are getting prepared for this event. Under interior stairs, safe if framed in, Dan. It depends. I would say in a normal building, no. Stairs would be not a good place to be. However, if it's like a situation where you have the shelter below ground under stairs, then that's fine. But if it's like a framed in area, right, where the stairs are above you, no. I would say no, that would not be safe. Interior room of the house, no windows, 4 walls around you. That's going to be the safest place in the house for sure. Hubs driving home to Fayetteville area from Mountain Home around 8 to 9 p.m. That's going to be dicey right there, Krista, especially if you're leaving at 8 to 9 p.m. That's going to be of trouble because then you're going to get here around 11 o'clock and storms could be really starting to crank up by then. I would say if possible, leave earlier. Now let's see here. A tornado went straight through the middle of the house in Little Rock. What is the safety protocol for a tornado if the center of your house is the only place you have? Well, the center of your house, Lauren, is going to be the safest place during a tornado. When the more walls that you have, not only surrounding you, but further apart, the better the chance you have of surviving. Because the further apart you are, or the farther away you are from the center of the house, the more likely those areas are going to be destroyed first. Even if the tornado goes right through the middle of the house, still being in the center of the house is going to be the safest spot because it has to get through all those walls first before it can reach you. That's why a lot of times you'll see with big significant tornado damage, there's one building standing, there's one room standing, and almost 100% of the time it's going to be the house, the room that's in the most interior part of the house. That's why we say if you want to have if you want to be the most safe during tornado events and the most safe during severe weather, you have to have a storm shelter below ground. Again, I know most people probably maybe couldn't afford that, or maybe don't have access to that. But that's why if you don't have it, or if you don't have a basement, you need to be in the interior most room of the house at the lowest level. Good question. Good question. I understand what you're saying there. But if the center of the house is the only option, you need to be there. Let's see here. Just looking through some comments here. Let's see. If there's not a good spot structurally to hide in my house, do you think it'd be a good idea to head west for the night? Live in Fayetteville. Kristan, here's the thing. Again, the supercells that are going to be developing tonight, we're going to have a good idea of where they're going to track pretty quickly, because there's going to be, again, one or two that we're watching closely, maybe even a third one if the cap breaks a little bit earlier than anticipated. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be impacted by those storms, because remember, they're going to track over an area, right? But the potential for those storms to cause significant destructive damage is going to be there wherever those supercells do move through. If you are concerned, Kristen, I would first reach out. If you have some friends and family in Northwest Arkansas, ask if you can stay there for the night if you want to feel a little bit more safe. Second of all, if you do see that storm that's coming in, right, and it's tracking towards your area, we're going to know about 30 minutes to an hour in advance. If you don't feel comfortable in your house, if you know a place nearby, get to that area that you know is safe and take shelter there. But you can't be doing it while the tornado warning is in effect, right? Because these storms are going to be moving at 40, 50 miles per hour. At that point, you got to get to the safest place in that structure that you're in. Good question. That's what I would recommend. I don't think you need to go all the way to the west of the area, because there's still going to be severe weather potential even further west. You can still see that there's severe weather risk just to the east of Oklahoma City. Exactly. Great comment there, Jeremy. That's what I've been stressing all morning long. No matter what the severe weather risk is in your area, you're going to have that potential for strong to violent tornadoes. Let's see. Noel, again, Dwight, same thing I just told Jeremy. You got to be prepared tonight. Got to be prepared just in case those storms do track over your area. One or two isolated supercells are going to cause problems, and those are the ones you need to keep track of. Very similar environment, Jody, though not as widespread in terms of coverage of the storms. However, I do think the environment is more high-end with this severe weather event. It's just a little bit more what we call I wouldn't even say it's conditional. Just a little bit more uncertain on where exactly those storms are going to track, which to me is the only reason why there's not a high risk with this event, because the parameters in place are high risk level parameters. Make no mistake about it. But you just have about one or two storms that you don't exactly know where they're going to track, and that's why we've only got a moderate risk right now. But again, don't get caught up in the numbers. The entire coverage area that you see there is going to have that strong to violent tornado potential. Let's see. Great comment, Savannah. Interior room, lowest level of the house. 100% looks like, Dan, you're back here.
Yeah, I was just talking to my buddy Mike Armstrong. He chases for Channel 5 in Oklahoma City, so KOCO, not the Channel 5 here in Fayetteville, Fort Smith, but KOCO, the ABC affiliate, and yeah, we were kind of talking. One of the things he was mentioning is that with a retreating dry line, the convergence along the dry line will be limited. And he says if that cap is any stronger than what the models suggest, because we're talking about how the models are blowing it, how the cap will be weaker, but if it's stronger, then this could be a bust, as we have the energy that's coming in. It doesn't quite line up with what we call jet quadrant theory. Can you show the jet stream real quick, and we'll kind of analyze this real quick?
The model.
So Della wanted a radar track. I think we've already done that, but that was about 20 minutes ago. So hopefully we've done that.
We have.
Yep.
Let me pull up the jet stream map here.
Sirens can't be heard by the oldies. Boy, we got a lot of comments here. I want to get to about 10 minutes ago here. What about Southwest Missouri? Southwest Missouri is in trouble too, because those storms can be moving north. Mercedes is drinking away. I can hear.
She's she after I showed her that CSU thing, she was like, okay, got my attention now.
Sun is out in Fayetteville. It absolutely is. So Hodographs, Cat. Yeah, I know. The next balloon release is going to be out 18Z, so it's probably already in the air, honestly.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Finally.
Wow. It took a while.
Yeah. I think that's why WSI says to limit your stuff to 400 graphic, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to find anything.
All right. So, I don't know if I can't draw on that, but yeah. Here's the thing. I personally like for severe weather and tornado potential, in terms of, this becoming to fruition, in terms of the setup, will it actually verify? What's happening with the nose of the jet in Iowa and Illinois, that's, I think, the more likely spot for development. So if you kind of go through that again, yeah, right at the nose of the jet. So there you got the nose of the jet. If you move along, you can see the jet stream enhanced because the storm system does develop. But there's a thing called jet quadrant theory. So if we were to divide this jet max in 4 quadrants, where you kind of divide it equally from southwest to northeast, and then you divide it northwest to southeast. So why don't you draw a line on there real quick, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
And draw that kind of right. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Draw that like that. And then draw the other line where you kind of split it up just north of Denver, southwest of Fayetteville, or southeast of Fayetteville. Excuse me. Northwest from Denver, southeast of Fayetteville. Okay. And then kind of put it right over the jet max. Well, yeah, but that's good enough. But so the area that's going to have the most lift there, what you can do is after you set it, then you can just use the cursor and you can just move the entire arrow. You don't really need to do that. There you go. Right there. Put it right in the center of that jet max where you have the purples. Mm-hmm. There, right there. So we are in what's called the right entrance region. Right entrance does create a lot of lift. So that's why perhaps these storms will, in fact, develop. The left exit region, which is up by Minneapolis and southern sections of western Iowa, eastern Nebraska, that's the strongest lift for that. And then the other spots, they don't get as strong a lift. So you have the right exit region, not as much, and then the left entrance region, not as much. So I guess we are in a pretty favorable environment, but he was saying that a lot of times those right entrance regions don't have as much lift. It's not dynamic as much as like a nose of the jet coming in with a negative tilted trough or something like that. All right. Let's see here. She did for the Little Rock tornadoes. Let's see. Mercedes the weather dog. How about that?
You should trademark that.
I have a Cavalier. They are great if you don't mind the hair. They definitely shed a lot.
I can relate to that as a collie owner. Every time I get home, it's just a wall of hair that hits me in the face. And it also gets on my suits as well.
Aha. March 29th, 2012, right? Colby, if you're still on here, verify that. Let me know if I'm right. March 29th of 2012. The matter of fact, it would be very close to where we live now. There was a tornado that came through Mission and Crossover, hit the Walmart neighborhood market, the East Oak apartments, and then continued over Crossover. And it did damage at the art place as well. What about Omaha? Omaha is absolutely in the path of a storm that could bring tornado potential. But at the moment, we don't know if a storm's going to be tracking there. But you have the potential for severe weather. October 2019. Yeah, that was October 21st. All right. What are other methods? Do we have a graphic for that? Other methods, ways to receive alerts?
I can try and find that. Let's see.
While you're doing that, we have a question about the Texas Tech model, which, by the way, goes out 15 hours now. So we go out to 3Z. That's all it goes out to. But let's why don't we load it up here?
Okay. I can load it up.
In the meantime, I'm going to hide this. Ooh, F3 at 1952. How about that? Wow. Oh, okay, you're doing it? You're putting it up there?
Yeah, I got it up there right now.
All right. Hey, Colin had a nice comment. I like this new kid.
Hey. Mercedes is a good kid.
Josh, we appreciate you. You are young compared to me, that's for sure. You're a young whippersnapper.
I just turned 13 a few days ago.
13. All right. Are we going to get in trouble with child labor laws? Working?
I won't say anything. I enjoy working here.
All right. Here's the Texas Tech model. Let's go to convection and let's see what we got here. I haven't seen this, so you guys are going to see this at the same time. Let's start with a significant tornado parameter. I think we know already that's going to go off the charts. See how it weakens? There's a reason for it weakening. The low-level jet kicks in, and yeah, it's still there. That's still maxing out, too. It appears that maybe there's a storm in the river valley. Let's go to precip. Reflectivity and updraft helicity tracks.
Oh, boy.
There's a couple in the river valley now.
Oh, boy.
So it kind of goes back and forth. And this is why we can't tell you exactly where the severe weather threat. We know the threat. We can't tell you where the storms are going to track.
Yeah.
Wait, the underneath in the stairs, like a coat closet in the middle of the home, is not the safest? No, that's a good spot.
That's a good spot.
That's a very good spot. There was a closet left standing in Little Rock with clothes hanging. Yep. They're all commenting each other, so they're all having a discussion. I love it. In Tulsa, still nervous. Our weather is unpredictable. That's fine. Yeah, I understand, Rena. I get it. The cap might not break, right? Boy, I think it's going to break. There's the previous run right there.
Mm-hmm. That's a long track supercell.
What happens if a tornado hits the lake? We live on the lake in Hinesville and have never heard what happens. So it just keeps going across like a hovercraft. Doesn't stop. It'll go across and then do damage on the other side of the lake. And I don't think the lake is big enough. Like Beaver Lake, it'll go across. It went across Indian Head Lake and Little Rock, which is a smaller lake, obviously. This is a great point. Put hard-soled shoes in a safe place. No flip-flops.
Nope.
Please.
With the debris everywhere.
Especially at night.
No doubt.
My dogs have been very anxious about going outside all morning. That's not a good sign. When your dogs are worried, barring Mercedes, of course, exception Mercedes, but she's not worried. They're usually pretty chill. I was wondering the same thing because I'm on a second floor apartment. We're going to be talking about that. Can you find coverage if you don't have a TV provider or aren't one? Here's a good question. Mike Susko, what's going on, my man? Look at that. So,
the man, the myth, the legend.
Here's what you're going to be able to do. You are going to be able to go to, and I'm going to share this screen. Will this work? I don't know. Let me try this, Josh. See what happens.
Are you trying to share your screen from your location?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to see what happens here.
I think it should work. Hold on. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. That way.
Well, we'll keep it up once. Let's see what happens.
You want me to keep mine up?
Yeah, I want to see what happens. I've never known what happens here. So if I go to this, I go to share. What happened?
It just switched. Now it's on yours.
Cool.
You're on KWA Fox 24's website?
Okay, so if you go to weather, and then you can go to what's called the weather live stream. So it's right there. You'll also see it up at the top of the page as well. There's your breaking news for the blog. So if you go to watch too, you can go to there, weather live stream, you click on it, and this is where the weather coverage will be. Now, when we do our Facebook Live, you're going to see it load up here, and all you have to do is hit play, and it'll play the video as soon as it's done loading. So, in fact, you're actually live right now, and there's the stream. So all we got to do is click on that, and then you can watch it. Now, keep in mind that if you don't have Facebook, you don't need it. You can still watch it on a live stream. You also go to our app, and then you go to weather live stream, and it'll bring up our live stream. So we're going to be keeping you safe and covered and protected. And we've got some of our storm spotters that are gearing up too as well. We can see him. Colby Ward, Cody Hudson. Cody's in more of the Newton County area and Harrison, so he's got that covered. But that's what you do. You go to weather live stream, and then you click on it right there. And if you want to join the conversation through Facebook, you can click on that, and then that will load up the live stream there. All right, Josh. I think I'm gonna have to start getting ready, man.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get ready for bed, at least for a couple hours.
Try to get a little bit of sleep.
Get a little bit of sleep in, so I'm on my A+ game. Probably get a Baja Blast too.
What about the Weather Authority app? Let's show the scan the QR code for that, and then we're done.
Let me pull that up. I'm gonna stop that.
Zach Hall is an awesome storm chaser. He absolutely is. The Arkansas Storm Tracker. How about that? Jacob had a good naps and coffee. Options like YouTube, Hulu, or something. No satellite can be watched from 4G, Wi-Fi, 5G if the Wi-Fi goes out. It's a good question. That's a good question. What's up?
It's not an appropriate comment to show, but I saw it.
All right.
You'll probably see it eventually.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Indeed. So there's the app right there. And you can also find it on the Google Play and Apple App Store as well, if you want to search it. Great resource to have, though. It's like we talked about at the very beginning, Dan, multiple ways to receive warnings. There's one way right there, because Mr. Dan Scoff will let you know it's pretty loud if there's a tornado warning over your area with that app.
That goes right to the page too. I just scanned it just to make sure it does. Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Sure does. All right. Well, can you do me a favor, Josh, before you leave?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Just go ahead and send out an email, because I just got a text from our sales rep, our local sales manager, saying, "What's the latest?" So just for the staff, KNWA staff, just send an update. Really no change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Storms tonight.
I'll post that weather blog as well on there so they can refer to that.
All right.
For more info.
All right, guys. Well, I'll let Josh close this out. I got to get ready. We'll see you guys later. I'm going to get the little shelter, underneath the stairwell. Get that ready for the family, and we'll see you here in a few.
Perfect. All righty. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming out to this stream. Again, we're going to continue to keep you posted on the latest information. Dan and Zach will be in studio over the next few hours. They'll likely have another weather live stream, so we can give you the latest info if things drastically change. Again, severe weather potential is very much there in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. To reiterate the main points, Not everybody will see these storms, at least a significant tornado potential. However, the storms that do form tonight are going to have the potential to be destructive. So that's why we're doing these weather lives. That's why we're giving you the latest information. And like I said, Dan and Zach are going to also be here, and they've done a tremendous job over the last several days. They've been all over this system, and we'll continue to give you latest updates and let you know what's going on as we go throughout the next 12 hours. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and cap off this weather live stream. Again, hope everybody has a fantastic rest of the day. Make sure you're staying in tune to the latest information using that app, as well as following the National Weather Service. You can also follow us on social media. And stay safe. God bless everybody. And we will reconvene later on this afternoon.